Welcome to the Injection Connection, in-depth discussions with thought leaders and professionals in the polyurethane infrastructure repair industry.
So how did you get into this, and how did you end up starting StormSensor? What led you to this?
Well, I think everyone's dream is to work in a sewer. So of course we start there. But I was a vice president at a consulting company in Seattle when we brought in, this 2010, 2012, and we brought in a stormwater group. And for the first time in our company's history, we were losing money. And we couldn't figure out why. And when I talked to my stormwater team, they said that every time it rained at the office, they had to go sample their sites, but just because it was raining here doesn't mean it was raining there. So they're going out like 4 times before they can collect a sample. And I said, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. Why don't we just have a rain gauge that texts us when it rains? And they said, why don't you go invent that? And I said, I will. I'm going to call it StormSensor. So that's how it started, as a little, sparkle in my eye.
Right.
But I had no hardware or software experience at the time, and I didn't know that I could even begin to put together a company like that. But as I started talking to more people in the stormwater industry and learned that there was a lot of frustration, and so much of it related to not knowing what was going on within these systems, I realized that maybe I could solve this problem with a team of brilliant people who could actually build the things that were in my head. And yeah, so that's how it started. And
That's
we were
spectacular.
first on construction and industrial compliance, because that was my background, and started talking to cities, and so many of them said they just needed to know how much water was moving through their storm system. I had no idea that, or storm system, sanitary system, that wasn't metered, and we didn't know. So that just opened up a world of opportunity to me.
Right.
We
right.
want to go. Yes.
Wow, that's excellent. And it's the thing a lot with our industry, and when you deal with below grade infrastructure, is there's a lot of needs, but they're not really well defined, or anybody even focuses on them, because it's out of sight, out of mind, And I've often say, even for grouting, our biggest competitor is not another grout company, it's ignorance. People just don't understand that this kind of technology, these type of repairs, or this monitoring is even out there to do.
Right.
And I think some of the part of it is how it's set up, because municipalities, they're on tight budgets. Obviously, we want them that way. We don't want to just throw money at them, but we also want them to use it right. But you get a lot of people where they start off at the low level of municipalities, and then there's turnover. They move up, they go on to other things. And so a lot of information is lost there. So it's not necessarily that the government's just bad. It's kind of the nature of it. We all want to grow in our careers, but these things get left behind.
Absolutely. And then the people paying for it, which are the citizens and taxpayers, they want to see the benefit of what they're spending their money on. And if you can't see it, then why would you pay for something that you can't see, that you can't understand? And
right.
The only time they want you to fix it is once it stops working and it's too late, because you're dealing with flooding and backups and paying too much for treatment and everything else.
And oddly enough, going back to that study, like the $188 million, paying that is actually the easy part of it. I mean, not that that's fun for us or anything like that,
Right.
But what it comes down to is that inflow also causes damage to infrastructure when you see sinkholes and that kind of stuff. And those things, I mean, you're talking about damage to property, potentially harm or life-threatening conditions. And then also you're looking at when these systems overflow, you're putting septic, out there in the public, damaging our waterways and our health.
Yes, and our homes and our businesses and the people who live there and are literally working in sewage in their homes. That's
right.
terrible. And it's becoming so much more common.